Good morning. Listen, this is about building wealth without betraying yourself. And in order to do that, we need to talk about a framework. So, what I'm going to present is that, see, most people believe wealth problems come from the lack of money, but that's not true. It's really not true. So, the framework that I'm going to present today is actually a wealth alignment framework. It has five parts, and it is the crust or the foundational principle that we'll be using moving forward as it relates to building wealth without betraying yourself. And that is the key, right? I'm Johnnie Lloyd, and I am known as the Maven that helps you bridge the gap between what you know and what you do. So let's dive in. So, the key with this is um, studies of financial collapse have, when you look at them, you look closely at them, you start to notice something surprising. Money is often present. Assets have even been present, opportunities have been present, and yet instability still happens. You say, why? Because when wealth problems are often connected, not to money problems, they're actually connected to alignment problems. And the problem with that is that what I'm going to show you right now on the screen is the issue. This is the deal. And I want to look over here because I want to make sure that I follow this out. So when you look at alignment issues right in here, if you're not aligned, and we're going to talk about each one of these pillars today, then what happens is, guess what? It shows up in other areas of your life. So the framework helps me explain why people sometimes build wealth in ways that eventually betray them. And that is the key because they go after the wrong thing. So I'm introducing the framework. This is called Identity First Wealth Alignment. And the reason is this framework exists is simply um, most traditional conversations about wealth, and I've done it too. I've done it. I usually start with, sometimes we start with budget. Sometimes we start with, what do you have in your hand? But all of those are important, right? However, with money, with investing, or even with opportunity, an investor in several different areas, right? I have multiple streams of income. That's fine. But if there's no alignment, there's no sustainable wealth that's going to happen. What actually happens when you're aligned, it goes deeper than the surface. So when you begin with alignment between who you are and how you regulate pressure, how you structure your life, that it's, for me, it's not about the money. Money becomes a tool. For other people, they deal with it very differently. But I've learned that it's simply a tool. So the environment you operate in matters. And the purpose guiding your decision, that's critical. So when those pieces are aligned, wealth can expand without destroying you. I'm going to say that again. When all of those segments of your life, when purpose and environment and structure and your nervous system and your identity are in alignment, then you can build massive wealth without destroying your who you are and who you were designed to be. And that becomes critical. And you get a chance to keep your peace because money does not provide peace. Peace and money is not the same. But when those pieces are misaligned, even good opportunities can create instability. So now you say, Johnny, do all of them have to be walking like soldiers all together at the same time all the time? Life doesn't show up like that. Life doesn't necessarily show up like that. At least it doesn't for me. So it's about knowing what it requires for you to be in total alignment. And then the awareness of when something is malaligned to help you stay and not become or not step into a deeper level of instability. So today I'm going to walk you through this framework because understanding it can help you build wealth that adds no regret. And that's what we're doing, right? It says the Bible talks about the Lord maketh thee rich and addeth no sorrow with it. This is going to help you walk out that. Okay. It's having your priorities in order, right? So the center of the framework is alignment. Let's begin in the center because I think that makes a difference. And so alignment means your internal identity, your decisions, and your external life are moving in the same direction. When alignment is present, you experience clarity, you experience peace, you experience capacity, you experience conviction, purpose, consistency, you experience your commitment. But when alignment is missing, life often begins to feel like a constant pressure. And we can see this in social media and so many other platforms. Have you ever seen somebody go viral and then they think, well, now I need to figure out other things to stay at that level? Have you ever seen somebody get money, whether it be sometimes through, I'm thinking, like they won the lottery, right? But they can't keep it because money is not the issue. It's deeper than that. Because if we're not aligned with $100, if we don't have purpose and alignment with any amount, then when the amount gets larger or when our desire overruns that, we can become malaligned. And then our nervous, I'm going to talk about it. I'm trying to get ahead of myself. So, okay. So when life is malaligned, then life often begins to feel like a constant pressure. And you may be busy, you may even be successful on paper, but internally things start to feel unstable. And that's because alignment always begins with one foundational question, just one. Who are you becoming? Now, last week I talked about who do you need to become to really take in or to receive what you're believing for. If you haven't seen that video, go back and look at it because that'll help add to this. So, who are you becoming? And that is key because when identity is missing, that it will definitely be problematic. So, let's go to the first pillar of the framework. The first pillar is what? Identity. Because what? Identity is first. The first pillar, identity first, is not about titles or roles. It's not about beliefs. It's about beliefs, values, integrity, being true to who you are and what you believe in. How do you define yourself? Not necessarily who defines you, because we have to be careful with that, because that can also have our belief system. And sometimes we have to reframe some things that have happened in our life because some people have told us who we are not. So, what is your true identity? Who are you becoming? And that's the true person or true identity that we're discussing. So your identity shapes what you pursue, what you tolerate, what you walk away from. Did y'all hear me? What you walk away from, not just what you walk into, but what you walk away from and how you respond under pressure. If identity is unclear, then people often chase opportunities. And I'm going to talk about that soon on a video that I'm going to do on YouTube. And I'm not going to do it here. But they chase opportunities. They don't actually match who they were meant to be. So there's sometimes an opportunity. And I was on a podcast recording yesterday, and he said, what would you tell people about being authentic? And I said, when you know who you are and whose you are, then you can show up that way. What I was taught coming through a system years ago was I needed to shrink and be less of who I was to fit into their mold. But that wasn't my identity. That was what I was doing, but that wasn't who I am. And once you determine who you are, that doesn't mean that you go into a space or a business and you just take over or you have your head shaken and all that. That's not what that means. That means internally you know who you are. So you know what to walk to, and you know what you were created for, and you know what you were meant to be. See, that misalignment of identity shows up as exhaustion. It shows up as conflict. It shows up as instability. Because when our identity and we do not align, there's an incoherence of it, and we have friction of who we are and what we're doing doesn't align. Then our brain and our emotions and everything will come trying to figure it out, and we're fighting against ourselves. But when identity is grounded, decisions become much clearer. You don't have to chase everything. You choose what aligns. Your nervous system is the second pillar. And I've already kind of stepped into that. And so that pillar is about your brain, your nervous system, your emotions, your thoughts, your processes right here, right? But it's for regulation, clarity, and control. And that's what our nervous system can do for us. And it does do regardless, right? So then this is where in the neuroscience space, and y'all know that's the space I love to live in, right? Becomes extremely important. Your nervous system determines how you respond to pressure, uncertainty, opportunity, and stress. If your nervous system is deregulated, then decisions start being driven by urgency instead of wisdom. People may rush, they may overextend themselves, they take risks that they wouldn't normally take, or they try to solve pressure by moving faster instead of stepping back, taking a breath, and then moving forward. But when the nervous system is regulated, and that doesn't mean perfect, you gain something powerful. You gain clarity and control under pressure. And that allows your decisions to stay aligned to your identity. Alignment matters, right? So your values show up instead of what you're driven by, which is normally fear and urgency. And that's why it's important. So you say, what's next? The next area that we need to talk about is structure, because this is the third pillar. It's a grounding pillar, because what you build your identity on or with or from, what you're standing on, is very important. And for me, it has been from homelessness to millionaire, all of that, right? All of those things are the structure that I am building on and continue to build on, because it's not about the money. It's deeper than that. Okay. So the structure is where identity and regulation become real in our daily life. Structure includes our systems, our internal working systems, the system for discipline. When we look at financial stewardship, because you can have money and no stewardship, and guess what? It's going to wave bye-bye. The money's going to wave bye-bye because stewardship matters regardless of the amount. Most people say, well, I don't budget because I don't have enough to budget. That's when you need to budget. You need to budget. And budget is simply a spending plan. You need to know what's in your hand because that's how you build financial stewardship, right? And you build the muscles of structure. And the operating systems that we build our structure on matters because an operating system works in the background. So see, many people want expansion, but expansion without structure eventually collapse. Structure protects your peace. I'm going to say that again. Structure literally protects your peace. It ensures that whatever opportunity comes in is built on discipline, that it aligns with your identity. It will function in your system. It's not a foreign something coming in to attack your identity or your alignment. It's not just about building momentum because structure helps build it. Momentum for sure. And momentum is movement, but not just movement anywhere. It's movement in alignment to who you are becoming. So when structure is strong, growth becomes sustainable. It's just that, right? When structure is strong, growth becomes sustainable. It's like building your house on sand. It looks good on the outside, but don't step in, right? Don't let water come in. Don't let the ocean come up and take the sand out. Building it on something that is stable and will last beyond you. So let's go to environment, which is the fourth pillar. And so environment is about influence, culture, and growth. Now, this one we could spend a lot of time on, but I just want to introduce the whole framework, and because it's really important. So environment includes people, culture, standards, and influences around you. What are you feeding yourself as part of your environment? Where are you sitting? Who are the 5 closest people around you, right? Who do you listen to and they have your ear? Who's in your ear? Because sometimes we have people in our ear for entertainment, but believe it or not, it's having an impact. So environment matters because us human beings, naturally adapt to the expectations of the environment that we're in, that we live in, that we breathe in, people around us. We typically adapt to that. So if your environment rewards urgency, comparison, recklessness, reckless growth, reckless decisions, then that's what's shaping you. Then that pressure normally, slowly shapes your decisions. So, but if your environment, values, and wisdom, your stewardship, your integrity, those are the standards that strengthen your alignment, then your environment stabilizes your identity and it slowly pulls you away from anything that does not align to that. So let's go to purpose, because I love purpose, because purpose says so much. And when I found my definite major purpose, everything has changed. And the more that I continue to walk in that, I can see the momentum and things moving that I never thought were going to happen. So purpose is the final pillar because purpose is where wealth moves beyond survival and expansion and begins to connect to something larger than yourself. So purpose is when alignment, wealth, your talent, your treasure, your time moves beyond you, and it goes beyond that to something that's larger than yourself. And I'm repeating that because I need us to hear it and hear it at a different level. So purpose answers the question, why does this matter? Purpose brings together vision, calling, legacy. And legacy is not just what you leave, it's what you live. So without purpose, wealth, and we've seen this, easily becomes reactive. But with purpose, wealth becomes a tool that supports all your values, your life structure, your belief system, what you will give to in charity, what you believe in, what you build, what you grow, the impact you want to leave behind. And that's through living your legacy, living your life, not just leaving money behind. What is the character and integrity that you're leaving behind? What are you going to be known as or for? That's legacy. So when you bring the framework together that I'm showing you right now, these 5 pillars, when you bring it together, look at the entire framework. Notice something important and notice this with clarity. Wealth that produces peace is rarely accidental. I'm going to say it again. I just want you to breathe on that. Wealth that produces peace is rarely accidental. And you can go through a lot of mails, scrolling, internet news where people have done things to get wealth, but they have no peace. Peace is something that is internal and it's not accidental. So wealth that produces peace is rarely accidental. It happens when these 5 areas stay aligned for identity, your nervous system regulation, the structure you have, the environment that you're in, and the purpose that you have. When these areas are aligned, opportunities can expand without destabilization of your life. But when they become misaligned, even good opportunities can create pressure, confusion, and instability, which is why this framework exists to remind us that building wealth should never require betraying who you are or what you were designed to be or becoming. If this framework resonated with you, take a moment to reflect, go back and look at it again. And in some cases, just take the framework and just let it encompass where you are in this moment and what you desire to be. And reflect on this question this week. Where in your life might alignment need to be restored? Because when alignment is restored, identity and clarity follows. And when clarity follows, decisions become much easier. You gain peace. And it's not about performance. It's not about choosing someone else's identity or picking up something that doesn't really function or work in your life based on today. So again, if this conversation helped you think about wealth in a new way, right? make sure you subscribe, share, and share your thoughts. Share your questions, because this has been something that I've been working on for years in the background with my 47 years of accounting and financial and profit, non all of that, right? But this is something that if I looked back and I could tell my 20-year-old self or my 30-year-old self or my 40 or whatever year old self, if I could have given them this, wow. But regardless of where you are today, regardless of what you're thinking, I want to remind you that you're not behind. That this is a season with all the AI and all the technology and all of this, not run after, that once you define who you are becoming, once you have identity, not locked in, but let's say you have more clarity regarding it, I think this will help you build at a different frequency that you've built in the past. Because we're going to continue to expand and grow on this on Fridays as we step into building lives and building wealth that does not betray you. So I am Johnnie, and please like, subscribe, and share. And remember, alignment begins with identity first. Have an amazing week. Have an amazing day.